Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to his righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of his law. Join us as we seek to be refined by his word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in his way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube, a live stream of the Torah portion. This is week 42, Matot, and we're going to be going through Deuteronomy. We're not there yet. In 2 weeks, we'll be there in Deuteronomy. We're going to be through Numbers 30, verse 2 through 32, 42, talking a lot about vows, revenge on Milyen, and about army for war to gain the rest of the inheritance in the land of Canaan. So, a lot to discuss tonight. Let's start with prayer. Heavenly Father, O Yahuah, we come before you. We bless you and thank you for all things you've created in this world for us. We thank you for sending your Son, Messiah, Yahusha, your word, which is a lamp to our feet and forgiveness of our sins. We thank you so much for Shabbat and opening our eyes to the wondrous matters out of your Torah. We pray that you continue to refine us, and that you'd glean from us, and that you'd glean off the bad things off of us, or tear off the bad things off of us, that we could walk in spirit and in truth in your amazing Torah. We bless you and thank you, and we are longing to be with you for the rest of our lives. In Yahusha's name, hallelujah, amen, Shabbat Shalom. Shofar. Okay, we are back, and we are here at Numbers chapter 30. We'll be reading from the Sefer version. And just a side note, I'm your brother. I wouldn't consider myself a teacher of the Torah, although that's kind of what we're doing here, is we're kind of learning the Torah together. And it's my goal to grow together, because I have a lot of growing to do in the Torah, and I invite you to be my study buddy. So I'm not sitting up here like, I'm this Torah teacher and you need to, learn all these things from me. No, it's like, hey, I'm here to learn the Torah, and I've been led to share it online. And so this would be like we're hanging out in my living room talking about Torah, except for right now it's a one-way conversation. So, but you have your say in the comment section, so that'll be your voice on maybe some things that I missed or some things that I might have gotten wrong, because I'm not here to say that I'm infallible. It's not true. So with that being said, let's go. Sefer version, Torah, Book of Numbers, chapter 30, Matot, vows. Let's go. All right, so here we go. And we'll just go and read verse 1. That was part of last week's, but whatever. And Moshe spoke unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Yisrael, saying, This is the thing which Yahuah has commanded. If a man vow a vow unto Yahuah, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. So, this is probably the biggest precept for us to learn from this entire Torah portion, is that we should do everything that comes out of our mouth. I've been guilty. I've even been guilty recently of just even like the most insignificant thing you say, and then you're like, oh, I didn't do that. Even little things like, even if you just like forget, like, oh, honey, I'll take the trash out, and like 2 hours later you're like, I didn't take the trash out. And that's on the really insignificant end of the spectrum, but I'm here to say what the Torah teaches us, there's no insignificant end of the spectrum. Especially if you're trying to be a light in your house, even the little things like that, we should uphold our end of the bargain. We should do everything that proceeds out of our mouth. So if I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this, uphold it. It's like, there's a scripture. I'm gonna expose myself a little bit here. I was sharing this with a brother last night. We were just staying up talking. In my past life, before I was really born again. How about that? Before I was really born again, I was kind of lazy. I was. I'd be the kind of guy that would be like, doing the Q-tips, and so of course someone's gonna say, don't use Q-tips, they're bad for you. If I'd like throw them in the trash and I'd miss, I'd be like, I'll get it later, or someone will get it. My mom was really good to me, but she cleaned up too much after me. Anyway, we don't need to get into the root of why. So I was lazy, right? So like I was thinking about it yesterday. My wife asked me to sweep the floors, which is not usually my duty, but I was like, of course, help her out. But like I remember, like in my old days, like even in the Marine Corps, when they're like sweep, I'm just like, whatever. But now it's like thinking about doing all the procedure out of your mouth. I shouldn't even do it half. I shouldn't do it halfway. I should do it all the way, right? And I was thinking of the scripture. Do anything you do unto Yahuah. So I was just boasting in Yah yesterday that he changed even someone like me that was lazy. Oh, and I didn't get to the point. So when I was actually sweeping, not only did I uphold my end of the bargain, which is like I will sweep, but I did it but realizing that even his eyes are on me right now sweeping, and that I shouldn't take this as a light thing, that like my wife is a very meticulous woman. So it's like, why would I even think about cutting the corners and be like, whatever. I don't have to sweep under there. She won't look or she won't care. But not only that, not only my wife, but like Yah cares, And I feel like this whole life is just a test, and he sees everything, even the little things like sweeping. Are you going to sweep like you don't care, or are you going to sweep like you're sweeping unto Yah? And so I'm challenging myself in even the smallest, which sometimes we know the small things can become large things. Sometimes the small things are actually the big things, because it's like what you do with little will you be. If you're trusted with little, you'll be trusted with much. So it's like, man, I'm going on a really interesting rabbit hole here that I didn't plan on. But I'm boasting in Yah that he took a lazy bones like me that would cut corners. Even in the Marine Corps, I'd still get away with it, Like, how much can I get away with? And because I was lazy, I didn't like cleaning up. And I'm not perfect now. I'm not. But living with a very clean woman, that's really helped. And challenging myself for the future, because I'm not perfect here, is that his eyes are always on us. It says his eyes are 10,000 times brighter than, anything. He sees everything. Nothing gets past him. So if I'm going to just be lazy and be like, I didn't see that, I'm just going to sweep over here. Okay, I'm done. I don't want him to see that. And it shouldn't just be about getting caught by Yah. We should want to just do everything that proceeds out of our mouth. So if I proceeded to say, yes, honey, I will sweep the floor, I better darn sweep the floor. And not halfway do it, but do it with all my might. Because I want her to come and be like she, she's a neat freak, so she knows to be like, okay, let me move this. Oh, he did sweep behind there. Cool. Instead of like, yeah, I knew you wouldn't get that, But how much even more for our Father. But the overarching point here is, I used that earlier tonight. The overall point here is that we do all that we say. And I just use a really, what seems to be insignificant example to explain how we should do everything we say. And so like, even more important things, hey, loan me some money, I will repay you. You need to do all you say. Let's read some scriptures about the severity of doing what you say, of what comes out of your mouth. Matthew 12:36 through 37. But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, and women, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. That should freak you out of everything you say. Even the little things, even you think the little insignificant things, even the things under your breath, like to your boss, right, or whatever. No more. We gotta be done with that. If we're gonna be Torah followers, we gotta be done with that. For by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. And think about what it says here. He should do all that proceeds out of your mouth. Think about how Hollywood has taught us how to speak, and let it be known everything I'm about to speak now is for example purposes. So, even though if it's an idle threat, like I'm gonna kill you, even though you're not really thinking, like you're not really telling somebody I'm gonna kill you, but what did your mouth just declare? I'm gonna, right? So that we need to be really watch what we say. And there's so many more examples. There's some other examples, or I hate you, which we're learning through the scriptures. Hate isn't like necessarily wrong, because Yah hates things, and David hated things, and Yahusha hates things, right? In Book of Revelation, you hate the deeds and Nicolaitans, which I also hate, right? The world will say hate's a bad word, but think about what you're saying. If you're telling your spouse or somebody, your significant other, I hate you, think about what's proceeding from your mouth. For by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. Matthew 5:33 through 37. Again, you have heard that it has been said by them of old time, you shall not forswear yourself, but shall perform unto Yahuah your oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is Elohim's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shall you swear by your head, because you can't make one hair white or black, but you let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these come of evil. So let your communication be yes, no. And instead, what he's saying, instead of yes, I swear by, such and such, it shall be done. He's saying, just stop. Just say yes or say no, right? Because it's better than to not swear at all, or to vow a vow, or to make an oath, rather than to make it and break it. We'll read some more. Deuteronomy 23:21 through 23. When you shall vow a vow unto Yahuah your Elohim, you shall not slack to pay it. For Yahuah your Elohim will surely require it of you, and it would be sin in you. But if you shall forbear to vow, it shall not be sin in you. And that's essentially what Messiah is quoting. He's still quoting Torah, right? He's like, it's better that you wouldn't swear at all than to swear and to break it. That which is gone out of your lips shall you keep and perform, even a freewill offering according as you have vowed unto Yahuah your Elohim, which you have promised with your mouth. So if you've promised somebody something, like, hey, I'll bring you that book. Bring it. Do it. Do what you say. So you end up being a trustworthy person, and a person that lives up to the word, someone that they can believe your word. You'd be an honorable, upright, and trustworthy person, not just in the sight of Elohim, but in the sight of men too. We're supposed to be above reproof, even in the sight of men. Ecclesiastes 5:2 through 7. Be not rash with your mouth. Don't be hasty, quick with your mouth. And let not your heart be hasty or rash. I'm sorry, rash is, let me get a better definition for rash for you, sorry. Oh, rash. Yeah, marked by proceeding undue haste or lack of deliberation or caution. Right? Okay, so it's just being hasty. Okay. Yeah, be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. This is another thing. I've recently been confronted with brothers that are, telling me, they're praying for 5, 6, 7 hours at a time, and I'm just Messiah says, and I'm not judging anybody, but I'm thinking out loud. Again, we're in my living room right now, just talking. Should we go on and on and on and on and on and on? Messiah says, keep your prayers short and simple. Here it says, let your words be few. The book of Sirach says, do not continue on and on and on in prayer. But anyways, that's not the point. That's a side point. The point is, don't be quick to promise something to Elohim or even man without deliberating it. And I've got some room to improve here. I'm quick to speak sometimes. And I've got some room to improve here, because if we're Torah followers, if we want to walk in the way of the Most High, this is a huge precept about what comes out of our mouth. It's binding. It should be binding, because if we just speak and it's not binding in our minds, we're not men or women of our words. You're not a man of your words. You're not a woman of your words. But we should strive to be men and women of our words, not just before Elohim, but before men as well. Right, so let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim, for Elohim is in heaven, and you are on the earth. Let therefore your words be few, for a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by a multitude of words. When you vow a vow unto Elohim, defer not to pay it, for he has no pleasure in fools. So, by implication, we can see here someone that vows a vow and does not fulfill it to Elohim is a fool in his sight. Pay which you have vowed. Better is it to you that you should not vow than you should vow and not pay. Suffer not your mouth to cause your flesh to sin. Neither say you before the angel that it was an error. Like, Elohim, I'm going to do this. And then later on, I messed up. That was an error. I was just kidding, or whatever. Wherefore should Elohim be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities, but fear you, Elohim. Here we see Jacob is vowing a vow, and it is a good vow. Genesis 28:20, and Jacob vowed a vow, saying, if Elohim be with me, and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on. Oh, I didn't finish it. It said that he would continue to follow him and keep his ways. Luke 6:45, actually, I don't even know why I put those in here. We're going to move on. Oh! I wasn't supposed to show this till later, but yeah, we're having a baptism, nationwide baptism event on August 14th. I'll tell you about it later. So we have three different things here. Vow, swear, oath. Let's look at some definitions in our language. Vow, a solemn promise or assertion, right? Yahuah, I'm going to do this. I don't think it's wrong. It's not wrong to vow. I mean, there's many vows in the Bible. We talked maybe a month ago now about the Nazirite vow. There's plenty of examples of vows, like the Israelites. Actually, later on in this chapter, they vow a vow unto Yahuah. If you help me destroy Midian, such and such. Yeah. So, to promise solemnly, to swear, to bind or consecrate by a vow. So that's vow. Oath, a solemn, usually formal calling upon Elohim or to witness to the truth of what one says, or to witness that one sincerely intends to do what one says, right? So, like in the Torah, it's like, one of the Torah precepts is like, if a neighbor gives you an animal to take care of and it gets torn, they would swear an oath saying, hey, I have not put my hand to your beast, and so you'd be swearing, right, or an oath before Yah. A solemn attestation of the truth or inviolability of one's words, right, like the witness took an oath to tell the truth in the court. Something such as a promise corroborated by an oath. All right. That's oath. And then swear, to utter or take solemnly an oath, to assert as true or promise under oath, to assert or promise emphatically or earnestly, to put an oath. So anyways, we get it. We get the definition here. So, yeah. Let's see. So let's look at one more thing here. Psalm 15. Yahuah, Who shall abide in your tabernacle, right? Who's going to go into New Jerusalem, your dwelling place, your pavilion? Who shall dwell in your holy hill? He that walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth, the Torah, in his heart. He that backbite not with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor takes up a reproach against his neighbor, in whose eyes a vile person is contemned, but he honoreth them that fear Yahuah. He that sweareth to his own hurt and changes not. What that means is someone that makes a promise, and even if it super duper hurts to keep that promise, you keep it anyways. He that put not out his money to usury, nor takes reward against the innocent, he that does these things shall never be moved. Psalm 37, I think it's 20. Yeah, here, no, 21. The wicked borrows and pays not again, but the righteous shows mercy and gives. So the wicked borrows and pays not again. So when you borrow money, your agreement, you can call it a vow or an oath or swearing that you will repay. So even in this civilian world, I'm in the military, even in this world, we should repay what's we've either sworn by our mouth or by, in our days, by your signature. So we need to be men and women of our word. We don't just need to idly say, hey, I'll just do it, not do it. And, even more so, like, think about in the spiritual realm, in a prayer, when someone asks you for prayer, like, oh yeah, I'll pray for you. Yeah, I'll pray for you. Yes, I will pray for you. We need to do it. I've been guilty. I've been guilty in the past. I'm like, yeah, I'll pray for you. And I get busy or something, and you're like, oh, I didn't pray for him. Don't say things you don't tend to do. And I'm talking to myself. Again, I'm not like, hey, you need to do. I'm talking to me too. So that's vows. Let's keep going. So now women and vows. If a woman also a vow unto Yahuah and bind. And by the way, in the I'm not going to read the Targums really much today. There's not much to glean. But in the Targums, take it for what it says. It says that that a man is bound by his vows when he turns 13. That could be rabbinic additions to the text, because we don't get that anywhere else. So I don't know. Take it for what it says. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I personally always thought it was 20 years old that a boy became a man and was responsible for himself. I don't know, maybe because it was the age of entering into the army of Yahuah. I'm not sure. Anyways, getting off topic. So if a woman also vows a vow unto Yahuah and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's house in her youth, and her father hear her vow and her bond wherewith she has bound her soul, and her father shall hold his peace at her, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand. So here is saying that a girl in her father's household, if she vows a vow, if he doesn't say anything, the vow stands. But if her father disallow her in the day that he hears not any of her vows, or of her bonds wherewith she has bound her soul, shall stand, and Yahuah shall forgive her, because her father disallowed her. So a father has the right to annul, to break a vow that his daughter's made. And if she had at all a man when she vowed, or uttered out aught of her lips wherewith she bound her soul, and her man heard it, and held his peace at her in the day that he heard it, then her vows shall stand, and her bonds wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her man disallowed her on the day that he heard it, then he shall make her vow which she vowed, that which she uttered with her lips, wherewith she bound her soul, of no effect, but Yahuah shall forgive her. But every vow of a widow and of her that is divorced, wherewith they have bound their souls, shall stand together. And if she vowed in her man's house, or bound her soul by a bond with an oath, and her man heard it, her husband heard it, and he held his peace at her, and disallowed her not, then all her vows shall stand, and every bond wherewith she bound her soul shall stand. But if her man has utterly made them void on the day he heard them, then whatsoever proceeded out of her lips concerning her vows or concerning the bond of her soul shall not stand. Her man has made them void, and Yahweh shall forgive her. So here it is. We have the man has authority over the woman to be like, no, you can't do that. Every vow and every binding oath to afflict the soul, her man may establish it, or her man may make it void. But if her man altogether hold his peace at her from day to day, then he establishes all her vows or all her bonds which are upon her. If he confirms them because he held his peace at her in the day that he heard them. And this is actually kind of is something to really glean from. If we hear something and we don't speak up, you're confirming it in your silence. So if someone says something evil and you don't say anything in contrary to it, in a sense, you are confirming it. Let that sink in. I'm talking to myself here because there's times where I'm like, for the sake of peace or whatever, I'm like, yeah, I'm just not gonna argue with you right now, But is that what we're supposed to do? I don't think so. So I'm kind of correcting myself right now. But if he shall in any ways make them void after that he has heard them, then he shall bear her iniquity. These are the statutes which Yahuah commanded Moshe between a man and his woman, his wife, between the father and his daughter being yet in her house, in her father's house. So why is it that the man has the ability to break a vow that a woman has made? And this is another Torah precept. We have grown up in a society where not only we've grown up in a society where females are starting to dominate. This feminist spirit, this feminist agenda, feminizing men and masculinizing women, and for women to take the dominating role. You see it in I stopped watching TV shows a long time ago, but you were even seeing this 10 years ago where the woman would be the stronger personality and the man would just be like, okay, honey, yes, honey, okay, whatever you say. Or, and I'm not saying that the wife can't give your husband good advice. Don't get me wrong. My wife gives me excellent advice on many occasions. But overall, there needs to be the correct structure and order in the home. Let's read it. Start in the beginning, very first couple pages of our scriptures. Genesis 3:16. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Yet your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Here's the Strongs for rule, masal. To rule, to have dominion, to reign, exercise dominion, right? Because here's the thing. Here's facts. Here's human nature facts. When you have two people, one person will naturally be more dominant than the other. One will take control over the other. And so if Yahuah didn't set this precedence, it would be kind of chaotic in the household. He gave authority over the household with the man. Some of you women out there, you may not like this. You may not like what I'm saying. Like, Adam, you're a chauvinist pig. And Adam, that's not how it's supposed to be. We should be equals. Yes, equal in the household, but the man has the ultimate say. Has the authority in the house. It has to be that way. That's how that's not me. You're not going to be arguing with me. You're going to be arguing with Yahuah. He shall rule over you. The man shall have the rule in the household. That's how he ordained it. But it shouldn't be an iron fist rule, because I've seen some men, even in the Torah walk, that rule their household with an iron fist. And I don't think that's what he's called us to do, husbands. Yeah, you have the authority, but we saw what kind of authority Messiah ruled with. Did he rule with an iron fist, or did he rule as being a servant, right? To serve, right? So we as husbands, we should serve our wives. That's our closest neighbor, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. Well, there you go. Husband, there's your closest neighbor, your wife. But my wife is not in Torah. She hates it. Love your wife. Serve her. Be a light. Likewise for women. Oh, my husband, he hates what I'm doing. He thinks I'm crazy because I won't eat pork and blah, 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 and I don't want to do Christmas anymore, and he hates me. And serve your husband. Love him. Be a light. 1 Peter 3, 1 through 7. Likewise, you wives, be submissive. Let's look at the word submissive. Incline or ready to submit or yield to the authority of another, unresistingly or humbly obedient, marked by or indicating submission or yielding to the authority of another. We're not going to read the last one. That's gross. Likewise, you wives, be submissive to your husbands, so that some, though they do not obey the word, may be won without a word by the behavior of their wives. When they see your reverent and chaste behavior, let not yours be the outward adorning with the braiding of the hair, the decoration of gold, and the wearing of fine clothing, but let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable jewel of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in Elohim's sight is very precious. So once the holy women who hoped in Elohim used to adorn themselves and were submissive to their husbands, as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. But we also see in their household, Sarah gave advice, and Abraham was like, okay, let's do it. Right? So this isn't like a authoritarian thing where the wife has no say in your household and you're just a big old meanie in your house, like, you're the woman, I'm the man. What I say goes. That's not what he's asking us to do. Right? So as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, and you are now her children if you do right and let nothing terrify you. Likewise, you husbands, live considerately with your wives, bestowing honor upon the woman as the weaker sex, since you are joint heirs in the grace of life, in order that your prayers may be not hindered. Ephesians 5, 21 through 33, be subject to one another out of reverence for Messiah. Wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Adonai. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Mashiach is the head of the church. There is structure, there's order. The Father, the Son, the church. As the church, the assembly. That's not a good word. The church is not a good word. The assembly is subject to Mashiach, so let your wives also be subject in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives. Don't be big old meanies in your house. Don't be like as a lion in your home, as the book of Sirach says. Don't be as a lion in your home. Love your wives, as Messiah loved the church, the assembly, and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, that he might present the assembly to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. Even so, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. Don't be a big old meanie. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no man ever hates his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, as Messiah does the assembly, because we are members of his body. For this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is a profound one, and I'm saying that it refers to Messiah and to the assembly. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Well said, Paul. Well said. Now, boy, do I got a story for you about the importance of women and the power of women. So don't think that Yah is just some chauvinist pig and like just hates women, and men are here and women are down here. That's not how it is. First Ezra 3:17 through 47. Here we have, this is in Babylon, and you have Zerubbabel going about with some of the other bodyguards of the king. They're having a discussion, kind of an argument, but they're like, let's do a formal discussion in front of the king, and the king will decide who's the winner of this debate. The debate, there you go. And they said to them, explain to us what you have written. This is First Ezra, not Second. I know I read Second Ezra on this channel like many times, but this is First Ezra. We're going to read chapter 3:17 through 4:47. A little bit of a read here, but it's an amazing speech. The speech about wine. So this is the first bodyguard. Then the first, who had spoken of the strength of wine, began and said, Gentlemen, how is wine the strongest? Their argument was, what's the strongest thing on the earth? One said wine, one said the king, and the other, Zerubbabel, said a few things. We'll wait, though. Gentlemen, how is wine the strongest? It leads astray the minds of all who drink it. It makes equal the mind of the king and the orphan, of the slave and the free, of the poor and of the rich. It turns every thought to feasting and mirth, and forgets all sorrow and debt. It makes all hearts feel rich, forgets kings and satraps, and makes everyone talk in millions. When men drink, they forget to be friendly with friends and brothers, and before long they draw swords. And when they recover from the wine, they do not remember what they have done. Gentlemen, is not wine the strongest, since it forces men to do these things? When he had said this, he stopped speaking. The second, who had spoken of the strength of the king, began to speak. Gentlemen, are not men strongest, who rule over land and sea and all that is in them? But the king is stronger. He is their Lord and Master, and whatever he says to them, they obey. If he tells them to make war on one another, they do it. And if he sends them out against the enemy, they go and conquer mountains and walls and towers. They kill and are killed and do not disobey the king's command. If they win the victory, they bring everything to the king, whatever spoil they take and everything else. Likewise, those who do not serve in the army or make war, but till the soil, whenever they sow, reap the harvest and bring some to the king, and they compel one another to pay taxes to the king. And yet he is only one man. If he tells them to kill, they kill. If he tells them to release, they release. If he tells them to attack, they attack. If he tells them to lay waste, they lay waste. If he tells them to build, they build. If he tells them to cut down, they cut down. If he tells them to plant, they plant. All of his people and his armies obey him. Moreover, he reclines, he eats and drinks and sleeps, but they keep watch around him, and no one may go to attend his own affairs, nor do they disobey him. Gentlemen, why is not the king the strongest, since he is to be obeyed in this fashion? And he stopped talking. Then the third, that is Zerubbabel, who had spoken of women and truth, began to speak. Gentlemen, is not the king great, and are not men many, and is not wine strong? Who then is their master? Who is their Lord? Is it not women? Women gave birth to the king and to every people that rules over sea and land. From women they came, and women brought up the very men who plant vineyards from which comes wine. Women make men's clothes, and they bring men glory. Men cannot exist without women. If men gather gold and silver or any other beautiful thing, and then see a woman lovely in appearance and beauty, they let all those things go and gape at her, and with open mouths stare at her. And all prefer her to gold or silver or any beautiful thing. A man leaves his own father who brought him up and his own country, and cleaves to his wife. With his wife he ends his days, and no thought of his father or his mother or his country. Hence you must realize that women rule over you. Do you not labor and toil and bring everything and give it to women? A man takes a sword and goes out to travel and robs and steals and to sail the sea and rivers. He faces lions, he walks in darkness, and when he steals and robs and plunders, he brings it back to the woman he loves. A man loves his wife more than his father or his mother. Many men have lost their minds because of women, and have become slaves because of them. Many have perished or stumbled or sinned because of women. And now, do you not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all the lands fear to touch him? Yet I have seen him with Apame, the king's concubine, the daughter of the illustrious Barticus. She would sit at the king's right hand and take the crown from the king's head and put it on her own, and slap the king with her left hand. At this the king would gaze at her with a mouth agape. If she smiles at him, he laughs. If she loses her temper with him, he flatters her, that she may be reconciled to him. Gentlemen, why are not women strong, since they do such things? Then the king and the nobles looked at one another, and he began to speak about truth. Gentlemen, are not women strong? The earth is vast, and heaven is high, and the sun is swift in its course, for it makes the circuit of the heavens and returns to its place in one day. Is he not great who does these things? But truth is great and stronger than all things. The whole earth calls upon truth, and heaven blesses her. All Elohim's work quake and tremble, and with him there is nothing unrighteous. Wine is unrighteous, the king is unrighteous, women are unrighteous, all the sons of men are unrighteous, all their works are unrighteous, and all such things. There is no truth in them, and in their unrighteousness they will perish. But truth endures and is strong forever, and lives and prevails forever. With her there is no partiality or preference, but she does what is righteous instead of anything that is unrighteous or wicked. All men approve her deeds, and there is nothing unrighteous in her judgment. To her belongs the strength and the kingship and the power and the majesty of all ages. Blessed be the Elohim of truth. He ceased speaking. Then all the people shouted and said, Great is truth and strongest of all. And the king said to him, Ask what you wish, even beyond what it is written, and we will give it to you. For you have been found to be the wisest. And you shall sit next to me and be called my kinsman. Then he said to the king, Remember the vow which you made to build Jerusalem, and the day when you became king, and to send back all its vessels that were taken from Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart when he began to destroy Babylon, and vowed to send them back there. You also vowed to build a temple there, which the Edomites burned when Judea was laid waste by the Chaldeans. And now, O Lord the King, this is what I ask and request of you, and this befits your greatness. I pray, therefore, that you fulfill the vow of whose fulfillment you have vowed to the King of heaven with your own lips. Then Darius the king arose and kissed him, and wrote letters for him to all the treasurers and governors and generals and satraps, that they should give escort to him and all who were going up with him to build Jerusalem. And it keeps going on, but pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. I thought it was awesome how I didn't even mean to, but I was thinking about, how important women were, and I thought of this speech, and then reading through it, and I was like, oh, vow. So it kind of tied into everything. I thought that was awesome. So praise Yah. Okay, so now we are at Numbers 31. Give me just a moment. Okay. Numbers 31. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Avenge the children of Yasharel of the Midianim. Afterward you shall be gathered unto your people. And Moshe spoke unto the people, saying, Arm some of yourselves unto the war, and let them go against the Midianim, and avenge Yahuah of Midian. Of every tribe 1,000, throughout all the tribes of Yasharel ye shall send to the war. So there were delivered out of the thousands of Yasharel 1,000 of every tribe, 12,000 armed for war. Just kind of reminded me of the 144,000 when they were sealed. You had a certain amount from each tribe that were sealed, and also believe that they will go off to war when it's time. And Moshe sent them to war, 1,000 of every tribe, and them and Phinehas, the son of Eleazar the priest, to the war, with the holy instruments and the trumpets to blow in his hand. And they warred against the Midianim, as Yahuah commanded Moshe. And they slew all the males, and they slew all the kings of Midian, beside the rest of them that were slain, namely, Evi, Rechem, Tsur, Horai, Reva, 5 kings of Midian, which, by the way, the Targum says that one of these is Balak. His name is also Balak. And Bilam, also the son of Beor, they slew with the sword. So now Balaam is finally done. See ya. And the children of Yasharel took all the women of the Midian captives, and all their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle, and all their flocks, and all their goods. And they burnt all their cities wherein they dwelt, and all their goodly castles with fire. And they took all the spoil, and all their prey, both of men and beasts. And they brought the captives, and the prey, and the spoil unto Moshe and Eleazar the priest, unto the assembly of the children of Yasharel, unto the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by the Yarden, the Jordan, near Jericho. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest, and all the princes of the assembly, went forth to meet them without the camp. And Moshe was wroth with the officers of the host, with the captains over thousands, the captain over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moshe said unto them, Have you saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Yasharel, through the counsel of Balaam, to commit transgression against Yahuah in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the assembly of Yahuah. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that has known man by lying with him. But all the women, children, that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. And do ye abide without the camp 7 days, whatsoever has killed any person, and whatsoever has touched any slain. Purify both yourselves and your captives on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day. And purify all your raiment, and all that is made of skins, and all the work of goat's hair, and all the things made of wood. And Eleazar the priest said unto the men of war which went to the battle, This is the ordinance of the Torah which Yahuah commanded Moshe. Only the gold and the silver and the brass, the iron, the tin and the lead, everything that may abide the fire, ye shall make to go through the fire, and it shall be clean. Nevertheless, it shall be purified with the water of separation, and all that abides not the fire ye shall make go through the water. And ye shall wash your clothes on the 7th day, and ye shall be clean, and afterward ye shall come into the camp. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe, saying, Take the sum of the prey that was taken, both of man and of beast, you and Eleazar the priest, and the chief fathers of the assembly. And divide the prey into 2 parts, between them that took the war upon them who went out to battle, and between all the assembly. And levy a tribute unto Yahuah of the men of war which went out to battle, 1 soul of 500, both of the persons and of cattle, and of the asses and of sheep. Take it of their half, and give it unto Eleazar the priest for a heave offering to Yahuah of Yahuah. And the children of Yasharel's half you shall take 1 portion of 50 of the persons of the cattle, of the asses, of the flocks, of all manner of beasts, and give them unto Leviim, which guard the watch of the tabernacle of Yahuah. You know, one thing I meant to say earlier is, you know, some people say that you know, Yah is just gruesome in the Torah and just, you know, bloodthirsty. We have to realize that these tribes that he told to utterly annihilate, you know, they had a lot of mixing of the giant DNA. There's still the same mixing of, you know, when the Watchers came down and mated with women, and boy, these giants, their bloodlines were mixed with this giant DNA that didn't belong on earth. It was not part of his creation. So it's Yah's right, as the gardener, he can take out whatever weeds he wants to. And you'd be like, you know, we're so conditioned to think of humanity. It's not about humanity, it's about him. We've had a really backwards concept. It's about him. We're his creation. We're the work of his hands. He can do as he wills. So if something's not supposed to be in his creation, he can do as he wills. He can utterly annihilate them if he wants to. A lot of atheists and other people like to poke fun at the scriptures because Yah's like, go kill every man, woman, child. And you're like, we have to recognize that these sinful nations got what's coming to them. And the book of Jubilees is very important. I think it's chapter 7. It's either 7 or 10. I think it's 7, actually. It says that Noah gave to his 3 sons all the commandments, the statutes, everything. So when, you know, the other nations went off and started, you know, multiplying, it only took like a few generations, and they're like, phooey, we're done with that. It's not Yah's fault. His judgment is true, and his righteousness is true, and his justice is true. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest did as Yahuah commanded Moshe. And the booty, being the rest of the prey which the men of war had caught, was 600,000 and 70,000 and 5,000 sheep, and 12,000 cattle, and 12,000 asses, and 32,000 persons in all, of women that had not known man by lying with him. And the half, which was the portion of them that went out to war, was in the number 300,000 and 30,000 and 500 sheep. And Yahuah's tribute of the sheep was 615. And the cattle were 36,000, of which Yahuah's tribute was 312. And we'll find out here that when it's Yahuah's tribute, he gives it unto the priests, right, for their due service, for the Levites, for their service. And the asses were 30,500, of which Yahuah's tribute was 301. And the persons were 16,000, of which Yahuah's tribute was 32 persons. And Moshe gave the tribute, which was Yahuah's heave offering, unto Eleazar the priest, as Yahuah commanded Moshe. Right? So, just as people that labor over the word today and teach the word should be worthy of some sort of due or maintenance, that's how how it was back then. It's how it is now. And the children of Yasharel's half, which Moshe divided from the men that warred. Now the half that pertained unto the assembly was 300,000 and 30,000 and 7,500 sheep, and 36,000 cattle. That's a lot of cows. Wow. And 30,000 asses and 500 sheep, and 16,000 persons. Even of the children of Yasharel's half, Moshe took 1 portion of 50, both of man and beast, so 1/50th, both of man and beast, and gave them unto the Leviim, which did guard the watch of the tabernacle of Yahuah, as Yahuah commanded Moshe. And the officers, which were over thousands of the host, and the captains of thousands, the captains of hundreds, came near unto Moshe. And they said unto Moshe, Your servants have taken the sum of the men of war which are under our charge, and there lacks not one man of us. We have therefore brought an oblation for Yahuah, what every man has gotten of jewels, of gold, of chains, of bracelets, of rings, and earrings, and tablets, to make an atonement for our souls before Yahuah. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest took the gold of them, even all wrought jewels, and all the gold of the offering that they offered up to Yahuah of the captains of thousands and the captains of hundreds was 16,750 shekels. For the men of war had taken the spoil, every man for himself. And Moshe and Eleazar the priest took the gold of the captains of thousands and hundreds and brought it to the tabernacle of the assembly for a memorial for the children of Yisrael before Yahuah. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Everyone was distributed as needed. Everyone got what they needed, and we saw that like in the book of Acts, where when they got together, people sold things and they gave to others as as was needed. So the whole flock of Yah was taken care of, and that's how it should be. Okay, chapter 32. We're gonna kind of just read through this. I've got just a few notes on it, but really, the bulk of tonight's study was vows. What comes out of your mouth? Do what comes out of your mouth. So, Numbers 32. Now the children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a very great multitude of cattle. And when they saw the land of Yaezer and the land of Gilead, that behold, the place was a place for cattle, the children of Gad and the children of Reuben came and spoke unto Moshe and unto Eleazar the priest and unto the princes of the assembly, saying, Atarot and Divon and Yaezer and Nimrah and Cheshbon and Elaeh and Sevam and Nebu and Beon, excuse me, even the country which Yahuah smote before the assembly of Yisrael is a land for cattle, and your servants have cattle. Wherefore, said they, if we have found grace in your sight, let this land be given unto your servants for possession, and bring us not over the Yarden. So here they're kind of being selfish. They're like, we got our inheritance. Can we just chill? Can we just hang out here? And Moshe said unto the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben, shall your brethren go to war, and you sit here? And wherefore discourage the heart of the children of Yisrael from going over into the land which Yahuah has given them? Thus did your fathers when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land, right, when he sent the 12 spies. For when they went up to the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the heart of the children of Yisrael, that they should not go into the land which Yahuah had given them. And Yahuah's anger was kindled at the same time, and he swore, saying, surely none of the men that came up out of Mitzrayim from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swore unto Avraham, unto Yitzchak, and unto Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me. Are you ready to wholly follow him and recognize that there is no danger, that he sees everything, that everything is before him? Save Caleb the son of Yephuneh the Kenizzite, and Yahusha the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed Yahuah. And Yahuah's anger was kindled against Yisrael, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of Yahuah was consumed. And behold, you are risen up in your father's stead, and an increase of sinful men, to augment yet the fierce anger of Yahuah towards Yisrael. So he's like, they already did this, so now you want to do it again? You want to be fearful of going in the land and just sit here and chill out while your brothers, go handle the rest of the business? And we can obviously glean something in here that we shouldn't be selfish. We should be willing to help our brothers, even when it hurts or it puts us in danger, right? No, there's no greater love than a man has laid down his life, for his brother, for his friend. John 15 somewhere. For if you turn away from after him, he will yet again leave them in the wilderness, and ye shall destroy all this people. And they came near him and said, we will build sheepfolds here for our cattle and cities for our little ones, but we ourselves will go ready armed before the children of Yisrael until we have brought them into their place, and our little ones shall dwell in the fenced cities because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return unto our houses until the children of Yisrael have inherited every man his inheritance. For we will not inherit them on yonder side of the Yarden, or forward, because our inheritance is fallen to us on this side of the Yarden eastward. And Moshe said unto them, if you will do this thing, if you will go armed before Yahuah to war, and will go all of you armed over the Yarden before Yahuah, until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land be subdued before Yahuah, then afterward ye shall return and be guiltless before Yahuah, and before Yisrael, and this land shall be yours, shall be your possession before Yahuah. But if you will not do so, behold, ye have sinned against Yahuah, and be sure your sin will find you out. Build you cities for your little ones, and folds for your sheep, and do that which has proceeded out of your mouth. Right, the promise. And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben spoke unto Moshe, saying, Your servants will do as my Adonai commands. Our little ones, our flocks, our little ones, our women, our flocks, and all of our cattle shall be there in the cities of Gilead. But your servants will pass over, every man armed for war, before Yahuah to battle, as my Adonai says. So concerning them, Moshe commanded Eleazar the priest, and Yahusha the son of Nun, and the chief fathers of the tribes of the children of Yisrael. And Moshe said unto them, If the children of Gad and the children of Reuben will pass with you over the Yarden, every man armed to battle before Yahuah, and the land shall be subdued before you, then ye shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. But if they will not pass over with you armed, they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan. And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, As Yahuah has said unto your servants, so will we do. We will pass over armed before Yahuah into the land of Canaan, that the possession of our inheritance on this side of the Yarden may be ours. And Moshe gave unto them, even to the children of Gad, and to the children of Reuben, and unto the half tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, the king of the Amorim, and the kingdom of Og of Bashan, the land with the cities thereof in the coast, even the cities of the country round about. And the children of Gad built Dibon, and Atarot, and Aroer, and Atarot, and Shopan, and Yaezer, and Yog-Beha, and Beit Nimrah, and Beit Haran, fenced cities, and folds for sheep. And the children of Reuben built Heshbon, and Elae, and Kiriathaim, and Nebu, and Baal Meon, their names being changed, and Sebam, and gave other names unto the cities which they built. And the children of Machir, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead and took it, and dispossessed the Amorim which was in it. And Moshe gave Gilead unto Machir, the son of Manasseh, and he dwelt therein. And Yair, the son of Manasseh, went and took the small towns thereof, and called them Cha'abot Yair. And Novach went and took Kenath, and the villages thereof, and called it Novach, after his own name. So, brothers and sisters, I pray this was a blessing for you. I pray that you might have gleaned something. Again, the biggest point for us in our time to glean from this is really to help our brothers, even when it's dangerous, annoying, time-consuming. We should be willing to help. Likewise, the big one here is vows, oaths, swearing. Whatever comes out of our mouth, we should do. That's something that I've had to learn quite a bit over the years. So, praise God for his mercy and his patience with someone like me and with all of us. So with that, let's pray. Heavenly Father, O Yahuah, we come before you and bless you in Yahusha's name, and thank you for all that you do. Thank you for giving us your Torah and your precepts. Thank you for giving us Messiah Yahusha, teaching us the way. And we thank you for the Shabbat and all your righteous commandments that gives us an example of how to walk. In Yahusha's name we pray and bless you and say Shabbat Shalom. Brothers and sisters, real quick, we are having a nationwide coordinated baptism event. It's going to be on August 14th. Here's some of the locations. I'll have more info coming out soon, probably this week coming up. So far we have locations. We got Noel Hadley in Tampa, Florida, Tony and Curtis in Southern California, probably going to be Huntington Beach, David Clark in Colorado, forgot to get his city, Tim Marchweiler, Idaho, same thing, Dave Courier, New Hampshire, Jeremy Fox, Chicago, Parley Hart, Savannah, Georgia, Hank Bream, Seattle, Washington, myself, and our fellowship here in Southwest Missouri. Also, that's not on here yet, we got Brother Yanni in Phoenix, Arizona, and we have Brother Frank in Haines, Alaska. So I'll have more information if you're interested in getting baptized, whether it be for the first time or to renew it. Maybe you want to use the correct names. Maybe you want to just renew it, refresh it, whatever have you. August 14th. So I'll get you more info. And I'm still waiting to hear from some other locations. So stand by if your location or something close to you hasn't been mentioned. Stand by. We may have a lot more locations coming up soon. So with that, we're going to end with a priestly blessing and probably do the song of Moshe tonight. Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters.
יברכך יחוה וישמרך יאר יחוה פניו לך וחונקה
bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
I sing to Yahuah, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahuah is a man of battle, Yahuah is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths covered them, they went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahuah, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahuah, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath, it consumed them like stubble. And with the wind of your nostrils, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall, the depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil, my being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, my hand destroys them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them, they sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, oh Yahuah, among the mighty ones? Who is like you, great in Kodeshah, awesome in praises, working wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your kindness, you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your Kodesh dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled, anguish gripped the inhabitants of Pelasheth. Then the mighty men of Moab. Trembling grips them, all the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them by the greatness of your arm. They are as silent as a stone. Until your people pass over, O Yahuwah. Until the people whom you have bought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which you have made for your own dwelling, the Mikdash, O Yahuwah, which your hands have prepared. Yahuwah reigns forever and ever.